From the heart of Kansas City, we bring you Buck and Bob take on Chiefs Kingdom. I'm Bob.
I'm Buck.
This is Andrew.
Hello, hello.
And we aren't fancy analysts, but we have just as many bad takes. All right, guys, let's get right into it. We got a lot to talk about. Super Bowl is Sunday, but I want to start off real quick with refs.
I'm so sick of this narrative, man. I mean, there's stats to back it all up. Like, the Chiefs don't get a push. Like, if anything, they're worse off than most teams.
Well, and we talked about stats and stuff on our last couple episodes, and people came back and said the Chiefs are, the fourth lowest penalized team this year. And I had to point out to him, dude, we were talking about Chiefs penalties compared to their opponents' penalties. We don't play the really bad teams. Those are the ones with a ton of penalties. We play a lot, most of the really good teams because we had a good record the year prior. So they have less penalties too. But the Patriots had less penalties. It's a well-coached team. Like that's one of the things. But the best thing is I was watching Kelsey at the Super Bowl week, and Kelsey goes, he looked at the media in just disgust and just was like, why are you guys perpetrating this, or why are you guys continuing to go with this?
Well, no, the media asked him.
You should be ashamed with yourselves.
Yeah, the media asked him, if you had one question for the media, what would it be? He's
Yeah,
like,
that
why
was
are you perpetrating, or why are you perpetuating this ref thing?
It's a social media conspiracy theory that you don't expect some of the big beat reporters and writers, ESPN guys to take on and run with because it's garbage. But yet here you have the Adam Schefters and those that are tweeting and continually sparking that narrative, which it's garbage.
It is. It's absolutely garbage.
It's horrible.
What these people remember is the Chiefs whooping their ass, and there was one call that was controversial, and so now the Chiefs get – and then another fan base is like, oh, that happened to us too. Yeah, the Chiefs get everything. That's exactly what it is.
I do think, though, there's not really a concern, in my opinion, of this being a distraction. You talk about Kelsey answering questions leading up to the game. I don't think it's a distraction. If anything, we've seen time and time before, this team is wired for bulletin board material. Yeah. Anything and everything that they can take to motivate them, they'll do so. And I think this is just one extra little thing for them to get juiced up.
Well, I heard a really good take on the radio this week where, let's just play like this, the refs are giving the Chiefs an extra boost, right? Cool. So now that's in the Eagles' heads, right? It's in everybody's heads. So now the Eagles are thinking it too. So one or two bad calls or one or two calls that don't go their way early in the game and their minds are elsewhere, they're not playing at 100%. So this could absolutely be an advantage. So go refs.
Yep, and the refs better be on the Chiefs' side because they've already cashed my check. So,
yeah, gosh, we could do a whole show on the refs.
Yeah.
How quickly we forget things like the Marcus Mariota forward progress fumble sack by Derek Johnson. How quickly we forget Eric Fisher on the extra point or 2-point conversion versus Pittsburgh where he slipped and they called it holding. Gosh, there's just so many examples in our last 10, 15 years that across the board refs do better.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I rewatched the Super Bowl with the Eagles 2 years ago today, and I forgot Sky Moore had a touchdown in that game. Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Game
weird.
winner, right?
That might be his last
It
touchdown.
was the winner. Yeah.
It might be his last catch. Kadarius Toney had the great long run.
Yeah.
Nick Bolton had a stripped fumble recovery, TD. Almost had another TD, but that was another controversial ref call. I think the refs got it right on that one because he was making a football move when he fumbled, but he hadn't actually finished the move yet, so I kind of agreed with that one, but that was one that could have went the other way. And then there was definitely a pass interference call, two of them early in the game that didn't get called and on the Eagles, and it's just like the refs just make mistakes. They are human. That's the point. But yeah,
and that's the thing is Eagles fans aren't going to remember those calls that that didn't get called that were their way. You know, they're not going to complain about that. They're only going to see the Chiefs, and that's where it all comes from. And every team is focused on the Chiefs. So
Yeah.
Yep.
we are
Basically, the refs are a variable that each team has to account for. And, you know, there's one team that's now going to their third straight Super Bowl that accounts for it and overcomes it every time.
Absolutely.
Well, and
You know?
can you imagine the conspiracy keeping this conspiracy hidden would be harder than faking a moon landing, you know, if that ever happened.
Yeah.
Right? So, like,
if that ever happened.
Well, if
right.
like, there's a ton of people that say that
It
the moon
doesn't.
landing didn't happen. If that were true, that conspiracy would have been easier to hide than the NFL refs in 2024, 2025 having this. You'd have there's tons of crews, tons. Okay, you saying that every one of them is in on it, or is it just one on each crew? And how do they keep it straight? Do you know? Is there a secret handshake? I mean, it would be, you know, what's going on here? I mean, it's absolutely absurd. But so many people really, really believe
Super
it.
buy into it.
Yeah.
It's unreal. It's weird, man. It's really weird.
Tell them to go watch that Chris Jones roughing the passer call against Brady in the 2019 championship game. I mean, he just brushed him and
tickled his shoulder a little bit. Yep.
Chris Jones said a bad word once to Matt Ryan and cost us a penalty, which cost us the game. So it's not it's not the refs against the Chiefs. It's just a ref issue across the board, in my opinion.
And we lost out on probably, for sure, Travis Kelce's coolest play of all time, but maybe one of the coolest plays in NFL history of all time. In the, you know, it wasn't even a pitch; it was a straight up quarterback throw backwards to Kadarius Toney, and the ref was like, "Oh, he was offsides," and we was like, "When was the last time you saw that penalty? Does that even exist?" I mean, so.
Why have we already mentioned Kadarius Toney twice in the Super Bowl episode? I was so happy that he was gone from this team, and now we got to talk about him again.
Hey man, that's how it is. But okay, so we probably should have. So Andrew here has been on the show before, but I didn't give a proper introduction. He came on the show. It wasn't one of our normal shows. It was when we were doing the Monday night ones here at the Sports Pub and Pizzeria, and Andrew works for the Youth Ambassadors of Kansas, and he does a lot of stuff with that. If you guys want to get a hold of him for anything involving the charity, make sure to check the notes. I'll have his email and ways to contact him down there. But Andrew also worked for the Chiefs for what?
12 seasons.
12 seasons. Andrew came into the Chiefs on one of the darkest years of the Chiefs' existence. It was when we tragically lost our I'm blanking on his name, our linebacker.
Javon Belcher.
Yep.
You know, it was a tough time, right? It was the previous regime. It was Scott Pioli, 2-14 season. So we had the first overall pick, and I was able to. Thank you, Bobby. I was able to join the Chiefs with an internship pretty much out of college in 2012. So getting to see it from 2012 to 2024 was a dream come true. You know, it was pretty awesome to see the reach and the impact and the scale that Chiefs could make in the community across the board.
So the whole organization turned around after you took your position.
This is true.
So thank you, man, for all the success and joy that this team has given to this city and to us.
It's pretty
surreal.
surreal.
All because of you.
It probably was another Andrew that also joined the coaching staff at that same time.
I can't think of any pertinent ones.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, it was really cool and just an amazing experience to be part of that journey. So
I bet.
You got the 3 rings, you know, to show for it.
Yeah. I took my dad, my mom, and my brother to Super Bowls. So the only one I didn't go to was the COVID year in Tampa. So, you know.
Well, that's kind of what I want to get into because and that's the one we lost. So good on you, right?
There's another proof right there, though.
Right,
Had
right
you been
there,
there, we would have won.
Bada bing, bada boom. But so. That's what we kind of want to. I kind of want to jump into that next because that's interesting because you've got to go to 3 different Super Bowl weeks and you've got to see that whole circus unfold. And this is a time where a less experienced team, unfortunately, the Eagles have been there, but I think 20 of their players played us in the last one, so they're ready for it. But a team like the Commanders might have struggled with all the different outside, what's not annoyances, but outside distractions. But so, what's it like? What's it like Super Bowl week? I mean, I can't even imagine. I should have went down there. I didn't even realize they give media badges to everyone. I could have went down there and done some stuff, but I don't know if I could have done it by myself. I don't know. That was a big rant. You go ahead.
No. I mean, it's a whirlwind. So first off, the Hunt family takes great care of the employees, and so they'll have a big kind of kickoff going away party at Arrowhead where all the staff are there. We'll load the buses. We'll be shuttled to the airport via police escort, which was pretty cool.
Wow.
And they'll have a big food spread. So they really take care of us. I think the main challenge throughout the whole experience is to try to step back and soak it in. It's a rush of 3 days. You're jam-packing all kinds of stuff. And one instance in Miami for that first Super Bowl, I actually had a working role the Saturday before Sunday's game for a pep rally. So we were trying to get Chiefs alumni and legends to go to this pep rally and draw a crowd there, and actually got a mission to go pick up Tony Gonzalez on a golf cart in downtown Miami, pouring down rain, and stop dead traffic everywhere. So
And you're in a golf cart.
And I'm in a golf cart with a few friends, a few coworkers, and our mission is to try to go figure out how to get Tony. And he says, "Hey, I'm on this corner over here," and it's quite the distance in a golf cart. So we're zigging in and out of shutdown traffic around the corner, then we pick them up, and it's the same thing back. We're hitting puddles, missing people, dodging it. It was a surreal thing to think about. Here I am with Tony Gonzalez on a golf cart, Miami, to a pep rally. We're in the Super Bowl. Things like that you look back on and you're like, that was actually pretty awesome. I can't wait to tell that to my grandkids someday,
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely jealous because I had to move to Colorado, but I was in line possibly to get a job with IT at the Chiefs right before moving, and then us having all this success.
Yeah.
I've only been back in town for the last few years of it, but I had to watch from Colorado, Broncos country, and it was horrible.
Well, the IT team of the Chiefs is top notch. You would have fit right in. They're a good group of guys there for sure.
Yeah, it would have been cool, and maybe I would have some rings, but didn't end up happening. But my wife is a lot more successful than me, and so it was a good choice to follow her career path.
Yeah.
Now I get to do podcasts.
There you go.
All right. Well, give us a story from Super Bowl week, if you got one.
Yeah, I've got a couple. I'll tell you another one from Miami. Just the Miami being the first one, I took my dad. He got me into being a Chiefs fan. I think that parents have such an influence over their kids that they unite and connect over that family fandom, which is so important. So the first one felt right to take my dad because he passed it on to me. And funny story, we are Sunday morning in the hotel, and there's 2 shuttle buses you can catch to get to the stadium. The first one leaves way early, and the second one is closer to kickoff. We decided after the long night the night before, celebrating, partying, having fun, that we would take the second shuttle. But watching the TV and seeing on ESPN the teams load the buses, everyone going to the stadium, we started feeling really anxious that we were going to be late, right? We're like, oh my gosh, we're late. We're seeing all this on TV. We have to wait an hour for the bus. We want to get there and get going. We should have taken that earlier bus. So we're feeling like we're late. We're moving. We go to the elevator to get on there, and Chiefs linebacker Reggie Ragland's in the elevator in street clothes, just chilling. He's like, "Hey, you going down?" We're like, "Yeah, we're going down. Aren't you supposed to be there?" And so just the mood that he had was confidence, but also calmness. And I think you could see that on the team, knowing what they were doing and taking the win. But it was just really funny for my dad and I to feel panicked about getting there on time and then literally getting in the elevator with one of the linebackers that's going to be playing. I'm like,
and he calms you down.
We're good because he's cool. He's calm. It was just so fun. And he asked us, "Are you having a good time?" We're like, "Yeah." And it's just one of those things you don't expect to happen en route to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the time I met Patrick Mahomes' mother, grandmother, and brother in an elevator at the Marriott downtown. It was Planet Comic-Con. It was that weekend. We always go down and we stay down for the whole weekend. We get a room, and we had a room at the Marriott that time. And I get in the elevator, and I'm like, this girl and this guy look familiar. This was like 4 years ago, I think. And I was a little confused. and then the grandma, she's like pointed at me because, they rolled her in. And so she's facing everybody. She goes, do you like football? And I was like, yeah. She's like, are you a Chiefs fan? And I was like, hell yeah, I'm a Chiefs fan. She goes, who is your favorite player? And I was like, duh, 15. And she goes, that's my grandson. And I was like, I knew you two looked familiar. And I looked at the mom and the brother. This was before his brother got in a lot of trouble, but so I didn't know him as much. But yeah, I was just like, okay, that's cool. And she was so funny because she goes, I don't know what's going on here, but I've seen elves. And she was just like naming off weird stuff. And she was like, I don't know what's going on. I was like, oh, it's Comic-Con. Everybody's dressing up. She goes, it's weird.
That's kind of the point of the whole thing.
Then the elevator ride was over, and I was like, Melissa, that was Patrick Mahomes' family. You think he's around? It was really cool.
A pretty cool combination of all like things that you love. Patrick Mahomes' family, Comic-Con, two things that you just are awesome. Love. That's great.
That was great. Yep. Well, so what should we get into now, Buck? Should we get into
we could talk about, kind of like what we do before a game is just kind of break down how we see it, the things we want to see happen, our X factors, the things we worry about, all that kind of stuff. So let's start off with the strengths and weaknesses of both teams.
Well, the strengths are very similar to the last time. I mean, it's just, they're opposite, though.
Yes.
Kind of. But the similar part, the offensive line of the Eagles is, lots of people told, is the best offensive line in football. It was the same thing two years ago when we played the Eagles. So they've got that. But then, the Chiefs have 8 rotating defensive linemen, which is I think the most.
It's a Spag special right there.
Yeah.
Rotating them in and picking those packages up.
Confusing offensive coordinators and lines.
Yeah, and we've got we rotate them a lot, which should help that. But at the same time, the last time we played the Eagles were like the 5th or 6th passing offense in the league. This year, they're the 9th.
Yeah, well, they had Saquon this year.
Yeah.
So, honestly, that kind of surprises me that they're that high up.
Yeah.
But A.J. Brown is
29?
Just the talent at receiver.
They're like 3rd from the lowest.
Oh, I thought you said 9th.
No, 29th. 29th in the league.
Wow.
Yeah, when they were like 6th.
Okay, so that kind of surprises me that they're that low. But I heard that Jalen Hurts was battling some injuries, something this year.
I don't know that that's even it. I think it's literally Saquon Barkley. Because, so most times when you have a running back, so I got these stats here, which are great. I got them from my buddy Pat McCarthy.
Your buddy?
Yep, he sent them over to me. So, dude, Saquon Barkley is the... Gosh dang it. Okay. This is killing me. There we go. Whatever. Okay, no, I literally just can't. There it goes. Jeez Louise. All right, so Saquon Barkley became the 54th player in NFL history to score 20 touchdowns from scrimmage in a season, including playoffs. Of those 54, he is the only one whose average score exceeded 30 yards in length. 32.5 yard average, okay?
What's that average for?
For his TDs.
Yards per TD?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So his
if you
total
take all of his
scrimmage
TDs,
yards
divide
divided by
the yards by the
Yeah.
TDs.
Okay.
His average is 32.5 on TD runs. 32.5. That's absolutely out of this
The
world.
home run threat, but also Jalen Hurts gets all the stuff in close with that damn push,
Yeah.
Yep.
tush. You know.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, and I mean, if you look out through the season too, Saquon had, I mean, the absolute most like double-digit runs of any running back. I mean, most running backs set you up to get a big play in the pass. Their pass sets up Saquon to get a big run. It's absolutely nuts. And so Jalen's not going to have to throw much and is going to have a lot of play action if the Chiefs can't stop that run. But I'm talking forever. See, but the Chiefs didn't give up a 100-yard rusher to any running back in this entire year.
It's not happening Sunday either.
The only team to do that. The only team. The only 100-yard rusher against the Chiefs was Lamar Jackson in Game 1.
Yep. So running backs,
No running
100
backs,
yards.
yeah.
I think that
We're
continues.
the only team.
I do
to
not think
stop every running back from getting 100 yards.
Saquon Barkley is an absolute stud.
Yep.
I mean, he is a legit like generational type back. I mean, there's not too many that I would put above him in the last 30 years that I've
He's
seen
the only
personally.
one that I've somewhat seen. Barry Sanders type of aura. He's the only one that I've ever said like, oh, he looks like he runs like him.
Yep. Yeah, he's a stud. With that said, I don't think he hits 100 yards rushing this game.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
I think he's going to get over 100, but if the Eagles are behind, which is very likely, then they'll start doing what Buffalo did and get away from that run, and that's going to kill them.
It's weird how we have a tendency to make teams shy away from their run game. I mean, we saw it 2 years ago in the AFC Championship game versus Baltimore when Derrick Henry, who I think was performing at a Saquon-like level, Saquon I think can be contained, but we've seen teams shy away from the run game for no reason at all. They get panicked. They haven't been there. For some reason, they shy off. It happened with James Cook versus Buffalo. They stopped giving him the ball. He wasn't even on the field in some crucial plays. Happened last year with Derrick Henry. For whatever reason, teams change up their game plan a little bit. And
I think that's a testament to us scaring them. I think if the Eagles are smart, they don't change up their game plan. They just stick with what they know.
Yeah.
I mean, if they stick with it, I think we shut down Saquon early. But if they stick with it, I think they have a chance to get Saquon opened up. And that's what I don't want to happen. So I hope Nick, I don't think I don't like Nick. And I think he's dumb enough to change up his plan and try to be the Chiefs, and I'm all down for it.
Well, I think that's Spag's plan, is to not let them get away with their game plan and make them play a different game.
Well, I bet Nick thinks that he can make a different game plan, and he can make one that's not based on the run.
He does seem that arrogant, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
He really does.
I was going to say, and by Nick, you mean Nick, arrogant head coach?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nick's
Sirianni.
Sirianni.
Yep.
Yeah, I've not liked it. A head coach that gets in fights with fans. I mean, you're
Are you
really
talking about after the Chiefs game where they beat the Chiefs in 2023?
and he's gotten in fights with multiple fan bases,
Including
not
his
just
own,
us.
I
Yeah.
think.
I
mean,
just
he's-
saw that clip after that game where
he's-
he's yelling at the Chiefs fans.
He's
and,
a child, dude.
like, it wasn't even like he was retorting some great, shot some guy took at him. He's like, oh, we beat you. Like,
Yep.
I'm 4 years old.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he's
Exactly.
Nanny.
I mean, you have to give it to him for everything he's done. In his young years, he's a super young coach. You got to give him props. He's done a good job, but boy, he's got a lot of growing up to do, and he might turn out to be a good guy at some point. People can't change. We saw, Hunt, the great story of Kareem Hunt coming back home and coming to a Super Bowl. So people can change. I hope he can too.
He's perfect for Philly. if I may.
He is kind of perfect.
He's
for
kind of
Philly.
one of those guys that if he's yours and you have that attitude of like the Philly fan base, you embrace the heck out of him. But if you're against him, he's so easy to dislike. You know,
he really
So
is easy to dislike.
Yep.
Oh man, but yeah. So I really think we're matched up well. I'm curious to see what the Eagles' center situation is going to be. That could turn out to be.
No, it could turn out to be
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't ever want to win based on injuries, and I don't think you ever really do, unless it's huge key players. Like you lose your quarterback.
2020 and you're missing
lose
your
your
whole offensive
running back.
line.
Yeah.
Maybe, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's the type of thing. But at the same time, I just don't want anybody to get injured. I think it's better. I haven't super loved all the changes they've made to the NFL to make it safer, but I've loved the fact that I've got to watch more great quarterbacks play throughout an entire season. When I remember in the 2000s, man, you were like, are they going to make it through the season? I don't know. I mean, you would just have people like quarterbacks hurt right and left, and then it just makes the game less fun. So I like that part of it, but don't like a lot of other parts of it.
I'd say one thing I've heard as a narrative leading into Sunday's game is sort of familiar. It's, this is the much better team, the much better roster versus the much better head coach and quarterback combo. And I think, do we do this every year where we come into the Super Bowl and they say, well, this team has the better roster top to bottom? I mean, do they not realize how much that motivates the guys? They hear that. They are just using that as fuel to come out and prove
Maybe
everyone
that's
wrong.
the
It's
real
even true
conspiracy.
this
It's not the
week.
refs helping us. It's the media that's helping
Yeah.
us by firing up
Every time.
Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
There's your real conspiracy, folks.
I don't know that the Eagles is a better roster than us this year. I mean, I honestly don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've got them defensive line wise. We've got them corner wise. I mean,
They might have us on the offensive line, but
yeah, they've got us on the offensive
we've
line.
got the
but
much better
we've got
quarterback.
the much better
Yeah.
quarterback,
I
and
think
anybody
we've got better wide receiver room.
Yeah, definitely now. I mean,
But
we didn't
A.J.
at the start
Brown,
of the year.
he might be the best wide receiver on the field on Sunday.
That's one of the matchups
yeah,
I'm really
yeah. I'll
excited
give
to
you that.
watch.
I'll give you
McDuffie,
that.
Yeah.
I want to see if McDuffie is shadowing Brown or how that will play out because that's a matchup. And Brown scored against McDuffie, I believe, when they played in the regular season last year. So McDuffie's so good.
It'll be
What I love about McDuffie, though, is that when he gets beat like that, he doesn't get down on
Yeah.
himself. He learns from it. He takes exactly what he did wrong, and then you won't see the same mistake twice.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what AJ Brown's routes are because I was looking at a route chart of him for different games, and dude never goes over the middle ever. I mean, he's literally routes up the sides, and that's it.
It's an outside deep threat type.
Yeah, so I mean, if he's going to do that, I mean, McDuffie's going to eat him for and our arm safeties are going to just eat like.
Yeah.
I mean, where we struggle is when people go over the middle, and the Eagles rarely go over the middle.
Yeah. That's flipping sides of the ball. That's where I feel like the Chiefs can really exploit the Eagles is through the middle. Fangio's defense plays those two deep safeties in order to kind of move momentum forward, but it leaves that center of the field pretty vulnerable. And Pat has seen a Vic Fangio defense. I think it was 8 or 9 times over his career. He's been in the division. We've played him and he's had success there. So I think Pat will know what to look for, and as long as we can force Philly's 4-man front to stay at bay and not get pressure, that's going to be the big turning point.
Well, that's kind of what Buffalo did, right? I mean, they left Travis Kelce open for 4 or 5 big plays in the middle, wide open.
Well, and
So if they leave the middle of the field open, Kelsey's going to kill him.
Yeah.
well, and going back to the other side again, Kyle makes a really good point. Like Brown going over on sideline to sideline, or on the sidelines, not sideline to sideline, on the sidelines and not over the middle is going to open up Devontae Smith, who, not a lot of people, and he points out in chat, not a lot of people are talking about Devontae, and Yeah, Devontae had a good game last time
Yeah.
we played. So, yeah,
That's where getting healthy in our secondary, I think, definitely has helped the last few weeks. Getting some guys back, full strength and defense, and
Jalen
veterans.
Watson back is going to be is so good.
And those guys have been there and done it, so they know what to look for. But all that being said, that pair of receivers is pretty damn legit.
Yeah.
With Smith and Brown.
I mean, Hopkins. Sorry, we're talking about you said okay. Sorry, I got off track there, but.
If we want to keep talking Phillies offense and the weapons, I mean, back to what you said, it's all about Barkley and containing Barkley. If we can stifle that a little bit up front and
not just the run, he's a hell of a receiver.
Yeah.
We've got to watch that.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and everybody's saying we have to watch Jalen. Like, Jalen Hurts tore it up last time, but I watched the game today, and I'm not really impressed with his 2 tush push, 1 short rushing TD, and 1 passing TD. I mean, I'm just not really impressed with it. Like the tush push, I'm never going to give anybody any accolades for it. It's the dumbest play in football. It shouldn't exist. It's chicken shit. It really is, and it's like when somebody cheats, but it's not technically cheating, but everybody else knows it is. That's basically what it is, the tush push. And I know we would do it if Patrick Mahomes hadn't got hurt.
Yep.
But I'm so glad that we don't do it, because I could just stand on my high horse and be like, well, at least we don't tush push.
No, and I feel a lot more confident going for a 4th and 1, knowing that Mahomes has to be creative, and they don't know what play is coming.
And you see, like, these guys, Josh Allen, people get complacent. Like, quarterbacks get complacent. They're like, all right, well, we'll just do the tush push right here. We're good, right? And that ends up screwing them. And then they're not ready for anything else, because the only thing they have drawn up for a 4th and 1 is a tush push. Whereas Andy Reid and company probably have 7 or 8 different plays.
I think
drawn up.
They've been practicing every week since week 1, because that's how intense it is.
I'm pretty sure we're going to see a play action fake on one of those from the Eagles on Sunday for sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because everybody's expecting it, and they know that.
Yep.
Wait, you saying a tush push play fake?
Yeah.
How do you play fake the Eagles tush push? Because the Eagles tush push, they're like literally their noses are on the ground and their butts are in the air. Like, I don't even know what animal you would.
They got a tight end out there, right? That's blocking. Send him. Let him do his first push real quick and then squirt out.
They look. I mean, they look ridiculous. Like when they're stood up, because they're literally their heads are on the ground and their butts are in the air, and you know what that looks like.
So football is derived from the game of rugby, right? I mean, that's where the origins come from, and a scrum is a really big play in rugby.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Because I tried to look up because I was so interested, and finally looked it up recently of why we call it football, and I couldn't find an answer. So I'm curious that you're able to find an answer to that. It's like the start of football is cryptic, and like nobody wrote down why they did things.
But the tush push is a very scrum-like play, so
I like the call. I would love to see a fake tush push that turns into a fumble, 99-yard fumble recovery touchdown.
That'd be amazing.
Well,
that would be pretty great.
Kelsey's talked about that on New Heights, how you do the tush push fumblerooski, and then that commercial came out with Andy Reid going fumblerooski, and I was like, wait, did they get that from the New Heights podcast, or was that already a thing? Did Travis get that from knowing about the commercial? I was so confused. But Travis was talking about how funny it would be to do a fumblerooski, like in a huge game where you're just pretending. But I'm pretty sure it's illegal to fumble on purpose, isn't it?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, but how? I mean,
That's probably why
how do you judge that?
Yeah. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just thinking of fumbling forward.
Say fumbling forward out of bounds. I think there's some sort of law against where it's like where you lose
that's
possession of the
penalty.
ball, it gets spotted versus where it goes out of bounds. But honestly, that's a good question.
And I think it's situational too, because I've seen the ball be fumbled forward, and then that's where the ball's spotted when they pick it up.
Yep.
So maybe Chad could help me with this, or maybe the comments on YouTube after the fact or something. But there used to be a rule that you couldn't, or maybe it still is there, that you couldn't take a fumble forward. Like there was, once the fumble was recovered, there was no. But maybe that's just only like maybe if an offensive lineman, if it's not an eligible receiver, maybe they can't pick it up and move the ball forward. Because I think there was like rules implemented to stop like early on fumble Ruski plays. Because I think they were a lot more they actually happened in the early years where they try to do trick plays where they were fumbling on purpose and they were fumbling it forward and then someone was grabbing it and forward progressing it. And I think I'll have to look into it. But if anybody wants to post me those rules, I would love it.
I think the game is too advanced, and the players are too physically gifted for any coach to put the fumble Ruski in their game plan at this point in time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get it once, you're
Except Andy
lucky.
Reid.
Yeah, you turn it over once, and that play's gone.
Yeah.
No more.
I mean, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Reed.
No way.
I
no
mean, if-
chance.
Guys,
I
got
mean,
some crazy stuff.
We did
from
the
over-
merry-go-round or whatever it was called, where everybody
Snow
was like,
globe.
yeah,
But that was
everybody
before the
running
play.
around.
Yeah.
That's all smoke and mirrors before the play.
That was hilarious, though.
Fumble Ruski is, I'm letting this ball go in the middle of the play. It is now free by choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Coach Reed's bag of tricks are pretty wild, and they're nothing. I feel like the team practices those throughout the entire year on the what if situation. So that way, when they do break glass to do it, it's they know what they're doing and they can execute. It's pretty remarkable, and I think that also speaks to just having this group of players together for so long. There's a knowledge-based foundation of the playbook that you can start to grow these intricate little, variations of what they already know. So it goes back to just the experience.
Well, and it's also cool because basically anybody on our defense tackles. Okay, there's a lot of teams that their corners don't tackle. And if you're going to be on Spags defense and you think you're not going to tackle, Spags doesn't care if you get 7 interceptions a year. If you're not going to tackle, you're not on his team.
Yep.
And that's very different. I was just going back to the Saquon Barkley and thinking,
Yeah, fundamentals.
We're going to have a lot better chance. Also, though, we want to be smart, though, and not try to strip the ball out of him. We just need to wrap him up. If a second person comes over, go ahead and try to strip. But biggest thing is wrap him up.
Yeah, we got speedy linebackers and Leo Chanel and Drew Tranquil that I feel like could catch up and neutralize some of that. You got Nick Bolton, who's that quarterback in the middle that's calling it out. So I think we have a really good shot as long as the trench battle is won to kind of keeping Saquon somewhat at bay. And by that I mean like keeping him in that 82-yard rushing. That would be phenomenal, and I think that's the goal of what you can try to do.
Yeah, I couldn't believe looking over our comments on different things, on different TikToks and stuff like that. We had a TikTok go for like over 100K, and we were talking about Bolton and Trey Smith in that TikTok, and so many people said Bolton sucked, and I was just, what? Have you not been paying attention? I mean, I know he isn't the fastest guy, but he's the guy that tells Spags what the defense is running, because he like, according to Mitch Holtis, has a photographic memory, which is a middle linebacker. I mean, that's a stat you can't even quantify.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to bring up Bolton now that you mention it, and that was kind of one of my points. Is we've kind of seen a drop off from Bolton as far as who's making the big plays in the games, especially the second half of the season. If you remember the first half, a lot of those big defensive plays was Bolton breaking through the line. He gets a fumble recovery on a doink snap, but he's quietly been the anchor of the defense for the last 6, 7, 8 games. He's not fallen off. He's not producing. He's just not the star of the team anymore. You know, Karloftis will have a big game. Nick Jones will have a big game. Wharton will have a big game. You know, and Menahew's had big games, but Bolton is just that anchor in the middle, and he does his job. And I think he's going to have a big game this week. I really do.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. Just, I think there's something to be said about the been there, done that mentality. And yeah, you mentioned a lot of the Philly players are carrying over, but you know who they're starting 2 rookies on the outsides on corners. I mean, those players are unbelievable. They're great young players, but I feel like there's something to be said with a team that's been there, done that. A quarterback like Patrick with 2 rookie safeties out or rookie corners out there. It could be an area to exploit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we definitely have, you know, at least 2 extremely veteran-savvy receivers. I mean, one's a tight end, but we have 2 future Hall of Fame ball catchers on the offensive side. And if you're telling me they're not going to be able to get one over on those rookie safeties at least a couple times throughout the game, I'd say you're crazy.
It's a battle of the trenches. I know that's cliche. You hear it all the time, but it truly is. If you can keep Philadelphia, or if you can keep their 4-man front on defense at bay and force them to bring a 5th guy in, it changes the whole dynamic on those deep safeties, and it gives Pat an extra read on kind of the zone versus man setup. I just think protecting Pat with a 4-man rush is the big key to this game that can change. It's a domino effect. It changes a lot of things.
Yep.
100%. Yep.
And I think they'll be scared to blitz him, as most teams are. You know, you think about why Pat's so good against the blitz. Maybe it's because he's, you know, practices every day against a defense coached by the arguable best blitzer in the game in Spags. So, yeah, might be a reason that he's so good against the blitz.
Yeah. Man, that Spags call on the 4th down versus Buffalo is phenomenal. That blitz was phenomenal.
We were on our feet screaming like, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Phenomenal. So that guy knows how to draw it up, knows how to rotate them in, knows how to scheme against a running back. I feel pretty good. I feel confident on this game.
I do too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I feel really confident. Honestly, I feel like the Buffalo Bills
would big game
would beat the Eagles.
Yeah, I do too.
But, you know, at the same time, like, there's still, like, for instance, the Bengals. I still would be afraid to play the Bengals with the Chiefs. Just because another team beats another team, I don't think that ever really tells you, oh, for sure they'd beat, you know, a team that they got beat by. It certain things match up differently, and you know, that's what makes football so fun. You know, whereas in basketball, you know, there's 5 players. You know, there's a lot less opportunity of a mismatch.
Yeah.
Whereas when you've got this many players on the field, you know, it's football. You know, it could definitely be different. I think the Bengals get beat by the Ravens and the Bills hard, and I think the Bengals give us a tough time.
Strange how that works.
Yeah, if I'm looking at that, but I see us beating, and we did beat both of them.
Not to say that the Bills didn't give us a hard time and the Ravens didn't give us a hard time.
Oh yeah,
but we just beat them. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we played the Bengals the same way and either barely beat them or they barely beat us. Whereas I think the Ravens or the Bills at the time of the playoffs would have just knocked them out.
Well, I think the Chiefs still beat the Bengals every time because, as we all know, the Bengals are the team to beat in the AFC.
The team to beat.
And
Jamar
everybody's
Conner
doing
said
it.
Jamar Conner said it.
Oh man. When will they learn?
All right, I'll be right back. You guys keep going.
Yeah.
Get you one.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hey, give me some more Mountain Dew.
So I'll tell you a quick little story.
Yeah.
I think there's you can't measure it. It's an intangible, but there is this sense of unfinished business with the Chiefs getting to third straight Super Bowl, and it's not something that I think was sparked this season. It's something that has been embedded and talked about and in the DNA of this team for the last 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I remember very vividly having lunch at the Chiefs, front office. And during this lunch, I was sitting next to a coworker who is a mad scientist in charge of 65 toss power trap, Rob Alvarino, an amazing guy. And he told me this was probably June of 23, right before camp started. We just come off our first Super Bowl, or 2022 Super Bowl. And Rob says, I'm going to call it right now. If they go and they win this one and repeat, we're going to win 3 straight. Because the guys are already talking about this. They're wired that way. So, it's not arrogance, it's confidence,
right.
It's preparation, it's the idea of, hey, we can do something historic, and this is backdated 20 months. They've already had this in their mind. So for the life of me, I can't think of them finally getting to this very final step and not succeeding.
Yeah, I loved it, man. I mean, after they won the Super Bowl last year, while they haven't even accepted the trophy yet, Mahomes looks over to Kelsey and he's like, we're going for 3.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think it's a cocky thing. I think it's just like, look, we've won 3 of the last 4 or of the last 5, and we're not done. This is not over. This was not our hill that we climbed. We're still climbing, and we've got more to go. And yeah, I absolutely love that approach. I love that mentality.
For sure.
So glad that he's our quarterback.
Man, right?
Every day I wake up and dude, I take a shit, take a shower, I look in the mirror, make sure my hair is good, and then I'm like, wait, who's our quarterback? That's right, Mahomes.
Yeah.
All right, this is going to be a great week.
Yeah. How many AFC championship games at home that we've had, or how many just in a row, and I'm just like, this is the era we're living in.
We've never not made it to the AFC championship game with Patrick Mahomes. That's ridiculous.
It really is.
I mean,
that's like me playing Madden at home as a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Just on, just rookie mode, just crushing it for 7 straight years.
Yes.
I mean, that's wild.
You're like, I'm the greatest
That's
ever.
right.
Well, this guy does it in real life.
Yes. It's insane. But yeah, just the mentality of 3 straight, doing something historic, setting themselves apart from the rest has been embedded for the last 22 plus months since they won in 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been embedded. So yeah, I can't wait to see it.
And I'm sure they're already talking, making plans for next season when we're trying to four-peat. That is absolutely probably under people's breath a little bit. I mean, they don't want to jinx the third one, but yeah, let's look forward to the future and what more.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So what should we talk about next? Yeah, the defensive leaders. So I'm just kind of skipping down a little bit here. But the defensive leaders, we've talked about Chris Jones and McDuffie. Maybe there's a surprise here, but there's so many guys on the defense that really could step up.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if it was Karlaftis, any of the guys on the line.
I'm
right?
thinking the same exact thing. They rotate him in. Any of those guys has a chance to make a play. Spags has trust in all of them.
Yep.
Yeah, I love your Karlaftis pick because we've seen him just get better and better and
Every
really
single
come
game
into
almost.
his own. And
then since Amenihu's been back, he's really started to
Amenihu
blossom.
really brought a lot of relief to some of those other guys. And I love how Spags can move Chris Jones on any step of the line, and it changes the way the offense is thinking about what the heck's going to happen. And then you start to see, blitzes from McDuffie, blitzes from out of nowhere, and Justin Reed sneaking up. And I think Spags is going to have some really cool shit dialed up this game. I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, Karlaftis is really just turning into a star, which, I mean, I was thinking he'd be a solid player. I was always on that board, like, not a bust, solid player, solid run stopper, solid, pass rusher, but not somebody you're gonna think is gonna get a ton of sacks and stuff. And boy, he's really working hard to prove me wrong. Yeah,
I really like the juice he brings to the team, and he seems like, from my time that overlapped with George's time there the last 2 years, seems like he's got a good head on his shoulder and a good attitude. And I think, honestly, I remember the mock drafts coming out of that draft class, and he was a guy that I was hoping we would land but didn't think we would get. And then when we traded up to get McDuffie, I thought, okay, we're probably not going to get George too, but
was he a water polo player in Greece? Is that what it was?
He's got some freak athleticism for
I
sure.
think he grew up playing water polo.
Yeah,
I think.
that whole draft class, will be talked about. It was, we netted extra picks from the Tyreek trade, and Veach and his crew hit a slam dunk up top to bottom on that draft, and I think that'll be something we talk about for years down the road, kind of like the Herschel Walker trade. It's
10 players, and 8 of them are still substantially contributed to the offense, and some are stars.
Yeah. It truly was a slam dunk draft class, and
Jalen Watson was like in the 6th or 7th round. He was one of those ones too, and didn't come in blowing minds like McDuffie did, but he's turned into a fantastic corner.
And that'll be the key to keeping this era alive and running, because some of those guys are going to need to get paid here soon. You're going to have to figure out who's my next 3rd, 4th, 5th round draft pick that's going to come in and surprise us. And Veach continually finds those. He's got a great scouting crew and a great system, and they do a hell of a job.
Well, while you guys were while I was gone, you guys were talking. I was listening in, but man, I guess I was wrong. I hate to say it when I have to say it because it's so rare.
I wish
I'm
I had that
wrong.
little hallelujah.
Did you get that soundbite? I was wrong.
He's got it.
So
He's
now
got
you
it.
can
When we
just
do
play that whenever you need to.
When we do our remotes, he's got it on his computer. So yeah.
Yeah. So I was wrong about us talking about the three-peat. I really wanted to when Mahomes said it.
You want it buried?
When he said it right after the Super Bowl, I was like, no, whoa.
Yeah.
What,
So now the context of knowing
I'm doing a little thing on my neck going like this. No.
But they were talking about that and had that vision 8 months prior. I mean, this was something that was training camp leading into before we went back to back. They were thinking about three-peating. I mean,
it goes against every football coach, great coach's preachings ever. They say, we're thinking about next week. That's all we're thinking about, you know. And this whole entire year, we've had not just this season. We've had it since they won the Super Bowl. When Patrick Mahomes said, "We're gonna do 3. No one's ever done 3. We're gonna do 3," and it's like, shh.
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I did not. I was like, oh God, we're jinxed.
But you're right. I mean, 10 years ago, if Brady would have said that, we'd have been like, they're not even making it next year because he just did that.
Right. It's funny that you say that.
That's what everybody probably said about us, too.
When you talk about Chiefs front office staff, I'd say there's a decent split of those that, no, don't say that out loud. Don't say that out loud. You're going to jinx it. Don't say that out loud. And then there's the other half that's sort of just like, this is happening. We're manifesting this to existence. So it's funny how you have kind of the superstitious versus the manifestors and,
Well, and I mean, from the proof's in the pudding, I had, if we're looking statistically, I had the best chance to be right, but it turns out I'm wrong because we're in the Super Bowl again, and I'll be really wrong if we win.
Yeah. How many back-to-back defending champs get to this stage after a 15-2 season, and then you start to hear the narrative of, the referees are giving him all the benefit of the doubt, or this other team has the better roster top to bottom, and I'm thinking, you guys are just digging your own grave.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then what was our record last year?
It's like
11 and 5, 11 and 6.
Yeah, I think it was
something like that.
11 and 6.
I can't remember
I believe
how
we had
many
6
games
losses.
we had last year. I can't remember if we moved up to the 17 games or not last year.
But there was an 8-game stretch where we lost 5.
Yeah.
And it was just like, all right, this is
Yeah.
where's Travis Kelce and all this and all that, and then the playoffs happened and Kelce just exploded.
Speaking of Kelsey.
Oh no.
Oh
Are
God.
you guys best friends now too?
No. I mean, I wish. But yeah, Kelsey, man. So I watched our Super Bowl against the Eagles. And I guess, so yeah, I saw Kelsey. And I saw Kelsey run. I also saw Kelsey's size.
Has he lost some weight or has he gained weight?
Oh, he's gained weight. I mean, he was looking slim in that Super Bowl and fast. And I had forgotten how fast he was.
Just last year?
No, the year before.
Oh,
okay.
The Eagles.
I watched the Eagles one just because I just wanted to get a little more insight on the players and stuff. And
So in just
they
2
have,
years,
like, yeah,
Taylor's getting him fat and happy.
yeah, and I mean, he's definitely not fat. We shouldn't say
Right,
that,
right.
but you look at his arms are bigger. I mean, and it could be muscle, but it could be a reason why he's quite a bit slower. He does. People have said it all this year. He looks like he's running in slow motion. If you watch the last Super Bowl against the Eagles, and then watch this year, just watch the last playoff game, he does look like he's running in slow motion. It's weird. It's really bizarre. And watching those old Super Bowls, it's just it's crazy. It's really crazy to see how many different people are on the teams too. It's nuts.
Well, I think I agree. He's definitely looking a lot slower, but that connection he has with Patrick, the ability to sort of carve out their own route in the middle of a play and acknowledge what's going on, like,
Has
it
nothing
blows
to do
my
with
mind.
speed.
Yeah, so exactly. He's still going to find his, and I think that is the underbelly of the Philly defense is over the middle there. And if you can Patrick work his magic and avoid that offensive or defensive front that is so strong with Jalen Carter and others, it's finding that guy in the middle that has space, and Kelsey's always figuring out where those gaps are. So hopefully he can revert back to 2 years ago and show you some speed, but I don't
he's
think
he's going to be able to show me speed. But the biggest thing, that just means he's not going to get as much after the catch. But the biggest thing that matters is the catch and the first downs, and he's still doing that great and doing that still better than the majority of the tight ends in the league. So, but it was just funny to watch him and be like, whoa, this is different.
So how vital is Kelsey's production, in your guys' opinions, to this game and our success?
His production or his influence?
Yeah, both. I like that. Both.
Yeah, I think his production depends on, for some
On how they play defense.
Yeah, for some teams it would be, their star player. If if Saquon Barkley doesn't perform well, I think the Eagles lose, hands down. If Kelsey doesn't perform well, I believe it will be because they double covered him and opened up other people on the field. So I think his contribution is huge. His stats in the game, I don't think are as huge.
Yeah.
Kyle on YouTube chat just said something about a big game coming up for Noah Gray, and that's exactly what I was going to say. Is if for some reason the Eagles do find a way to cover Kelsey over the middle, we can start throwing Noah Gray out there. We know what he can do when he's open. We know what he can do when he's not open.
Yeah. Especially, I love that because I think we're going to show kind of the hardcore football style initially with just pounding the ball, beating up on that defensive line, 2 tight end sets, 3 tight end sets. That's going to open up the tight end play action perfectly. And if they're focused on Kelsey and they realize that's that play, Noah Gray has a great opportunity to kind of slip open and find a seam.
Which honestly, that's the smart play.
Yeah.
You want to slow down Kelsey and get in his way, but there's just so many weapons on this offense that you can't focus on one guy.
Yeah.
Well, and then who was it? The defensive tackle, Jalen Carter.
Yeah, so good.
Jalen Carter. I met his uncle actually at the NFL draft. It was crazy. I didn't even know. This was back when I didn't even really pay attention to college. Like I, watched every Chiefs game, watched most primetime games, but wasn't into it like I am now with the podcast. Looking stats up and constantly analyzing things. But he talked about his. He was like, yeah, I think he's gonna go like top 5. And I was like, really, top 5? Oh, he's that good, huh? And then it was great on draft night because I was like, me and Mel were like, dude, he went. We know that guy's uncle. All while I'm sitting next to Dante Hall during the
yes, X Factor.
Yeah,
wow.
I wish I was doing the podcast when all that went down because I got to meet. Oh shoot, I'm blanking on his name. I got to meet Rich
Eisen.
Rich Eisen.
Cool.
Got to meet him, get a picture with him. Got to meet Dante Hall. We happened to be up at the top of not the top of the Westin, but the Westin has like on the 5th or 6th floor, they have like this big old balcony thing, and it overlooked the whole draft.
Cool.
And I was there on that. You were probably at the draft.
I was, yeah.
But you were like in the draft, like in the building,
Yeah,
right? Like
we had a bunch of high school football players, some women's flag players there that actually went on stage to announce one of the picks. So at that point I was in charge of sort of chaperoning them and getting them on stage and making sure all that went smoothly. And I remember the young lady, awesome flag football player. I think she ended up getting a scholarship and playing in college, but she had to announce Jackson Smith and Jigba, which it's a little tricky there with the hyphenated last name, the things, but she did a great job, and yeah, that was a fun experience too.
Boy, that could go real south real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't even know like where I was going with that.
No, I had asked how vital you felt Kelsey was to this game plan, and I agree with you. I think if he's not in terms of filling the stat sheet, which I think there will be plenty of opportunities, I think he's going to open up one-on-ones and mismatches that we'll be able to find. And I think we've done a lot of integrating Worthy. You're seeing his workload get bigger and bigger, and he's looking great. Mm-hmm. So I think there's going to be a lot of focus on how do we stop Worthy with these young corners. My gut tells me Hollywood Brown goes deep on a big one this Sunday. I think that there's a lot of attention focused on stopping our dual running threat, stopping Kelsey over the middle, making sure that Worthy doesn't get his. Hollywood Brown is going to be there. So that's my bold prediction is Hollywood Brown breaks a deep one.
I'm kind of right there with you. I mean, I think Hollywood Brown would have been a huge part of this offense if he had come in. I had been following him since the trade, and like a lot of people that aren't super into football wouldn't know this, but there's a other YouTube channel. It's probably like the most popular Chiefs YouTube channel. It's How About Those Chiefs, right? And Cole on the channel. Oh my gosh, I just blanked.
Hollywood.
Yes. So the trade happens with Hollywood. Hollywood comes and moves here right away. I mean, basically just like gets on a plane, comes here, gets an apartment at Two Light, gets his car stolen. A week later, yeah, that did happen with the whole ring. Mm-hmm. But either way, he came. He's in the How About Those Chiefs live chat during questions and answers, answering fan questions on YouTube, and he was so excited to come here, asking Pat to like do extra throw and catch sessions, and I mean I really think he was going to be a star this year, and I think he wants to make sure that's seen in the Super Bowl. So yeah. I think I would have to go. I would have to go right along with your bold prediction.
Yeah.
See, I think what we saw in the Bills game, if you remember, I know Bob remembers this, but I called it before the game. I think P. Ryan is going to come up big in this game at some point, and he did. He solidified the first down and got. So I think we need to look at P. Ryan late in the game. He's so pivotal
late in the game, definitely
at nailing down that win.
Yeah, what I like about what he can bring too is identifying that blitz, throwing your chip block, and then peeling out for a dump off. And I think that could be exactly where he comes in handy.
And we know he works really well with Kelsey too in the open field. So
I was just about to say, or a backwards pitch, could be in his cards, or he's laying on his ass and Mahomes throws it 5 yards past him and he gets up and catches it anyway. I mean, that's what the guy does.
Yeah.
He's amazing. But yeah, so I told the story about Jalen Carter, but I didn't talk about Jalen Carter's scary.
Very scary.
That's the scariest thing. I think Jalen Carter here in a couple years, when Jones is out, like it's kind of going to be like when what's his name from the Rams just retired, and Jones basically became, the true CEO of Sack Nation. I
Aaron
think
Donald.
that's Jalen Carter's. Jalen Carter is going to be Chris Jones,
Yeah. He reminds me a lot of Ndamukong Suh.
but not a dick.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Not on the field, and the fact that he can just wreck a game. I mean, Chris Jones the same way, but thank God, one of the biggest strengths on our team is that interior defense or offensive line. I think Trey Smith knows there's a lot of eyes on this game, and his resume is great, but he knows he's hitting the market. So this is a chance to say, hey, I can stuff one of those big defensive tackles and prove my worth.
Yeah, I know Chiefs Kingdom really wants to keep Trey Smith, but guys, he's making $900,000 this year, and I think he's made less than $4 million.
Going to be the game's highest paid guard,
Yeah.
I think, by the time it's done. So hopefully that's with us, but then you have to really think about the other pieces that you're giving up, and that is what happens when you're a master drafter and you have a draft class that just brings multiple draft classes. Brings in these types of guys.
Yeah, the only reason we've been able to win as much is if you look at the top of the people paid on the Chiefs, it's few. I mean, it's a handful of people. It's not. It doesn't look like a lot of other teams. We build through the draft. And the Patriots, when they did it, they also built through the draft and or did what we did this year, brought in vets, that really took pay cuts to just basically come and have a chance at a Super Bowl. So, I mean, those are the types of things that
– it's a great spot to be in.
Yeah, that winning teams do. I mean, signing, we already have Chris Jones. I don't know how much longer he's going to go at the speed he is, and we have him for years to come. These are the type of things that they have to be careful of, and I just don't know that. We'll have to see what the draft class is like. I know the tackle doesn't look very good this draft class, but guard might look good. Also, one of the plans might very well be for Suamataia to go to right guard.
Yeah, switch to guard.
Yeah, that's very possibly the actual plan. So
we've seen Veach do a really great job at sort of cycling in new bodies to that position. I mean, since the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, where the offensive line was down to scraps and it cost us that game.
That was also because of injury, though. That wasn't exactly
right. It wasn't by
fault,
structure; it was by injury. But I think we've seen, in a variety of ways. Trey Smith, mid-round pick. Creed was a third-round pick. You're seeing just his level of being able to refill those critical spots on the line. Yeah.
And then the coach's ability to develop this young talent into, high caliber play. Yeah.
Coach Heck. Yeah, he does a tremendous job. I think what we're all talking about is just these leaders from the coaching down to front office, the coaching down. Just the system in place is so strong that that's what's leading to
everybody believes.
Yeah, everyone's bought in. You've got the right leaders at the right spots, and the system is in place. So it's kind of a monster right now, which is why we're becoming public enemy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Which is just the weirdest thing ever that we actually are becoming public enemy because, 7 years ago, half the NFL fan bases didn't even know who the Chiefs were. They were like, wait, are the Chiefs? They were like,
Jamal Charles, right?
Is that the Redskins? No, they're the Chiefs. Wait, what's their color again? We weren't even on the map,
Just winning a home playoff game was a huge milestone, and it wasn't that long ago. And now here we are talking about 7 straight AFC championships. So, yeah, it's like foreign territory. I feel a little weird still leaning into like the villain mode. But damn, it's fun to win.
Yeah, it is.
It's fun to win.
It is fun to win, but it is weird with the villain thing because we literally are just one of the best franchises in the NFL and one of the ones. Our owner actually pays his coaches and his coordinators. We have 2 of the highest paid coordinators in the league and the highest paid coach in the league, and this is a small market team. the Hunts make money on a lot of things. It's not the Chiefs were like a pet project for Lamar Hunt. I mean, they were his passion, not his way of if you ever are really interested, I've said this on the podcast before, but just look up Lamar Hunt's history. He's a fascinating human being.
Yeah.
Fascinating. But this is their, they're doing this to win, not to necessarily make money. They are making money, but they're making way less than they could. I mean, they could really, the Chiefs, even when the Chiefs were bad, we were one of the only stadiums to sell out for 40 years straight. I mean, when we were the worst, we still sold out the stadium. You know how many blackout games I have suffered in Kansas City? One. And for anybody who doesn't know, if you're in a local area and your team doesn't sell out, they black out the game
Locally.
locally to try to get you to buy tickets to go to the game. Well, that's only happened one time, and a local radio station, I believe, bought out the last bit of the tickets.
Yep.
So it didn't even actually happen.
Yep.
And that's what the fan base is here, and we're the loudest fan base. How people can hate us is uncanny to me.
Yeah. It's
We're literally the opposite of the Patriots. We
Yeah.
haven't cheated. I mean, it's crazy.
It's the
to me.
price of winning, and I think that they are able to turn all of that negativity into fuel and momentum and to get them really motivated. So it's it's weird as a fan, like seeing the change, right?
Yeah. I mean, we were the darlings when we first
Yeah.
came in.
Yeah.
Well, and all that hate, what that means is we have passionate football fans for other teams, and in the long run, in the macro, that is a great thing for this sport going forward. So hate us all you want. Sport's still growing, and good luck to whoever your team is next year when you're watching the Super Bowl from the sidelines as the Chiefs go to the Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to hate us, fine.
Yeah.
But don't you dare say it's because we get all the penalties.
There has to be a reason, though. That's the thing. Is
Yeah,
the
there
Chiefs
is.
couldn't possibly be this good.
Unbelievable
So it's
ownership,
gotta be.
unbelievable coaching, unbelievable everything from the top to the bottom. That's why we're good.
Yeah.
First
That's
class.
Sky Moore.
If I may, though, just to circle back on something you said just briefly about Lamar Hunt, to me, he's in the Mount Rushmore of most impactful, influential, iconic sport, like to set the sports landscape in America. Lamar Hunt is part of that top 4 most influential, impactful people. Truly and honestly.
Definitely is. That's why they named the AFC Trophy after him.
Yeah.
He named the Super Bowl guys. I mean,
guy was so impactful across the board.
And the people here in Kansas City, we thank him so much because he went from Houston. I mean, guys.
Dallas.
Okay, yeah, guys. We used to be the Dallas Texans, and he brought us here to Kansas City and made us the Kansas City Chiefs. We were the Dallas Texans, and he, went from football, the state that props football up more than any other state in the United States, and brought it to Kansas City. And Kansas City's booming now. We are one of the best growing cities. We are one of the best sports cities. We're blowing up right now, but we weren't then.
Yeah.
He was bringing it to a podunk town, helping us out, giving us something. And I think that's why the fan base has been so die-hard and loyal for so long.
Yeah, for sure. He wanted to expand the NFL, and the NFL didn't, wasn't going to sell to a team or a city or franchise to him because he had no experience. And when he created the AFL and they started having success, the NFL started saying, well, what are we going to do here? So they brought in the Dallas Cowboys, and Lamar was smart enough to know, I'm not going to be able to thrive in the same city and share the city. So Kansas City, got the call from Mayor Bartle, and there were, plans of the new stadium, of Arrowhead being built, and season ticket members. But what he brought was this, almost high school football, college football atmosphere of fandom and craziness, and the Wolf Pack, stemmed from that, and the marching band, and
then he was there. Like,
Yeah.
he was there at the tailgates every weekend, stopping by people's tents and talking to them. Can you imagine an owner doing that in this day and age?
Yeah. I would say if anyone out there listening has not been to take a stadium tour of Arrowhead and see the Hall of Honor and really dip into the franchise history, you need to. You could spend the entire afternoon in the Hall of Honor and seeing some of the cool stories and the legacy of Lamar Hunt.
And do it before, like, do it in the next couple of years, because who knows, like, we might have to have a new stadium built. So do it, because, I mean, this is one of the most storied stadiums. So, yeah, I hate the hate, but do we have anything? You know,
Well, I just want
to
continue on your point there, though. I mean, Lamar. What more is there to say about Lamar? But then Clark takes over, and who knows how that's gonna go? And
I was worried.
And if anything, he's propelled the team even further than Lamar has. I mean, we are so lucky in this city.
I think Lamar aged out of it is the biggest thing. It's the same thing that happened with Al
Davis.
Al Davis and the Raiders. Al Davis was a great owner until you know the last decade, twilight years. I mean, I give him all kinds of shit and I make fun of the Raiders, but he was really good. It's what Jerry Jones needs to realize right now is he is outdated now and he needs to stop.
But then Mark Davis took over, and the Raiders have been a joke ever since, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Al Davis was great, turned it over to his son, and he's just some rich kid that can't keep his fingers out of the cookie jar, right? Yeah. And Clark is smart enough to know that I'm going to hire the right guys to do their job, and I'm going to step back and let them do their job.
Yeah. Well, he did kind of both of that. So when Clark took over, Clark changed the way his dad ran things. His dad ran things where the general manager reported to him, and the coaches reported to the general manager.
Carl Peterson.
So what Clark changed when Clark came in is Clark said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make the general manager and the coach the same level, and you two are both going to report to me, and we will work together, the three of us, to mold the team. And I think that's been huge.
Yeah. There's a symmetry there between that power group, and they're all on the same page, and they all have the same North Star that they're following. And I think you don't see that across other franchises, and having age and kind of keeping each other in check is a huge reason and recipe for our success. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I saw an interview, Dustin Colquitt, I believe he did it for the Kansas City Sports Network YouTube channel, but he did an interview with Clark Hunt. Dustin Colquitt did, and he talked about how weird it was for him that Clark Hunt was in the building pretty much daily. He said, he goes, well, I just assumed you guys lived here. I didn't realize that, your homes are actually not here. And he was like, I just assumed you lived here because during the season, you're in Chiefs facility almost every day. Now, did he not know about the secret apartment Lamar Hunt put into Arrowhead Stadium? That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish we'd had a heads up. It was always a shock when I was like taking a bathroom break, and then Clark Hunt walks up next to you to use the urinal, and I'm like, yeah, he was there pretty often. I mean,
don't say anything stupid.
Yeah,
don't say anything
exactly.
That was kind of like Melissa. She got to go to one of the big suites. She got to be in the suite right next to the Hunt suite, where they're all separated by glass. They're all way up there top. I've never been up there. She described it to me, but she got to go because the governor of Kansas, or no, it was one of the Kansas state senators invited her dad, and so her dad took her. But she said she was in the bathroom, and Brittany Mahomes came in with, what's their daughter's name? This was a few years back. So she didn't have the other kids.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, her daughter's name, Melissa knew it, but she said she was washing her hands, and the daughter was just like, hi. And she was like, hi. And she said Brittany was on her phone, not paying attention to her at all, and she was just playing with the daughter. And I was like,
amazing.
Oh, man, it must be nice to be you. All right, well, I think that kind of ends us out. But do you want to like just end us out with just a fun story about Super Bowl week or anything?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I go back to Miami. This is just a fun one, a celebratory type story, right?
Okay.
We won Super Bowl in Miami, and this was the first one since Super Bowl IV, so there were a lot of emotions.
50 years in waiting.
You know, I remember embracing my dad when Damian Williams, turned the edge and was on his way to the end zone, and I just started crying in my dad's chest like, we did this, It was just – that first one is so special. So – you get done with the game.
There, too.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine.
You get done with the game, the confetti, the stuff on the field, and they kind of shuttle us back to the post party, the after party, and I was kind of on the outskirts of the party area in the hotel, and there was a little bar area, and I'm like, I'm gonna grab some drinks because we're gonna go in here and we're gonna celebrate. And Kelsey happened to be right there next to me as we're walking up to this little bar, and he was about to order, and I cut him off and said, "This one's on me, man." But it was open bar, right? So and he goes, "No, they're all on me, man." And we had like this little moment, and my dad was just like, "Holy shit! Like this is so awesome that we get to do this, right?" So that was kind of a fun one. So I'm hoping that that some former coworkers there will get to have a beer and celebrate with Travis here in this upcoming Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got to be kind of a little bit of a bummer that you're just you're not there this year.
I'm fully leaning into fan mode. I've loved watching the games with my family, my kids. My daughters are
something you never got to do.
Yeah, and I miss those opportunities. So it's to be the dad influencer to my kids for their fandom, like I talked about earlier, how important that is. It's really special to pass that down.
Yeah, I get it. All right, well. I think that does it, guys. I think it's been a good episode.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. I love
coming,
chatting with
man.
you guys. This is fun.
Let's do a quick, I don't know,
Prediction?
Yeah,
Bold take
yeah.
Oh, a bold take?
or prediction? Sorry.
Bold take. Kelsey gets the MVP.
Okay, that's interesting.
Nice. I like that.
Saquon gets MVP.
Yeah. Wow.
Nope. Not
That's
doing that one. Not doing
gonna hear
that
that
one.
from us.
MVP and then proposes on the field afterwards.
yeah.
And then the internet breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like everything's gone.
Wow, that would be. I don't really. I mean, I don't really have a bold take. I mean,
I think a bold take would be the Eagles win.
yeah. Well, I'm not doing that one.
Yeah.
Chris Jones has 3 sacks.
Ooh, I love that. And that actually could get him into MVP conversation.
Oh,
I mean, honestly, like that type of defensive performance disrupts everything. I'm going to say 24 points wins this game. It's a race to 24. I think Saquon is under 80 yards rushing, and Hollywood Brown scores a critical touchdown.
Under 80 yards. That's a bold prediction.
I think we stifle him.
I
and
really like
and
it.
I think
I
that
really like
I think
yours.
that the lead is there for us to where they inexplicably go away from Saquon and
Yeah.
start throwing it and play into our advantage. So
Yep. And
Spags has a way to make that happen, too.
If there could be an MVP other than Patrick, I think it could be Spags.
Yeah.
I really do.
If MVP didn't stand for most valuable player,
Yeah.
I think he would be in
Spags,
the running.
Spags would
Yeah.
be the guy I would pick.
Can
Yeah.
I do bold prediction? Nick Sirianni yells at fans.
That wouldn't be bold at all. That's almost a guarantee.
Yeah. Can't wait. This was great. Thank you, guys.
The bold prediction would be Nick Sirianni walks off the field as a gracious loser.
Yeah.
That
puts,
would be the
puts on a
bold
clown
prediction.
nose on his way out.
All right, Buck. Where can here you can find us everywhere we're at buckandbob.com. That's BUKNBOB.com. Buck, where can we find you?
You can always find me on Facebook, and then on Twitter, it's at Buck_Tastic. It's BUK_TASTIK.
All right, and Andrew, where can we find you?
Yeah, I would say go to youthambassadors.org and check out all the cool stuff that we have going on. We'll be at Casual Animal the whole month of March and April, where we'll have a little local motive grant kickback. So go have a beer and know that it goes to a great cause.
And it's not in stone yet, but it's very possible we'll be doing shows live from there. I don't want to promise, but we are working it out. We're going to see if we can do it. So another cool place. And
Sweet.
yeah, I've heard nothing but cool things. We're going to go there tomorrow to check out the their internet situation, and you know, kind of see if it's something we want to do.
It's an awesome venue with great beer. So, you know, that's a recipe for success right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just
Amen.
remember, youthambassadors.org. Andrew Smecca, you could find him in the contact list.
Yep.
And then you can find his stuff right below
description
the
below.
description of wherever you're going to watch this, except maybe Facebook. But you could just comment on Facebook and I'll answer you. And then if you want to find me, I'm on X at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. Let's get out of here. And how about those
Chiefs?
Awesome.